I'm Marty Nemko. I'm on a mailing list put together by a guy named Bob Henry, very intelligent lawyer in D.C., and he occasionally will forward some particularly trenchant articles by others. And he sent me one today, sent all of us one today, that I thought, it's long, so I'm not going to read you it all, but I'm going to read you I'm guessing a 5-minute excerpt, probably more like 10. Anyway, the article is by a long-time student of men and how they're treated in the society. And this article is from a journal called New Male Studies, Volume 13, Number 1, 2024. But it's not academic sounding at all. But the title is called DEI Must Die, Hatred as Contagion. I think it'll be clear what he means when I read this to you. This is from the discussion section of his article, his essay. I began my research career by examining the man-hating fallout from ideological forms of feminism, but have since expanded my focus to include the hate-filled fallout from other ideologies. I wrote this paper, in fact, to include the outbreak of hate-filled anti-Western ideology and of hate-filled anti-Zionism as one of its direct heirs. But hatred is by now in the air we all breathe, carried by a manufactured virus that is the cultural equivalent of COVID, which is why Lloyd Robertson explains wokeism as a, quote, mind virus. Consider a recent expansion of the Southern Poverty Law Center's, quote, hate map. The latter includes not only the Ku Klux Klan, but also innocuous organizations such as Moms for Liberty, along with an extensive list of conservative and religious organizations. Its goal is to discourage potential donations, to encourage debanking of supporters. The FBI targets allegedly hateful conservative Catholics, but not avowedly hateful groups such as Antifa or Black Lives Matter, as likely sources of domestic terrorism. And many other Western countries, such as Canada, are even more eager than the U.S. to classify, quote, hate speech as a crime. Google uses artificial intelligence to counter historic threats, that is, hatred from the right, by using algorithms that distort historical truth, what is hatred from the left, and discourage users from finding or even seeking disfavored points of view. Moreover, linguistic inflation, also known as concept creep, keeps expanding the boundaries of hate speech to include microaggressions, mere utterances of the F word, inappropriate teaching contexts, or even silence itself in political contexts. Hatred is not an emotion, but a culturally propagated worldview that fosters the institutionalization of collective malice. The moral or philosophical keystone of, quote, anti-racist theory and its many equivalents in other versions of identity politics is the Marxist-derived notion of people as representatives of classes, either victim classes or oppressor classes, not as individuals. Closely related to that notion is one that eluded Marx himself, but not his heirs. This notion is implicit bias or unconscious bias, a recent notion that has supported, quote, critical race theory, and therefore closely related ideologies, and therefore condoned a wide array of DEI measures. Implicit bias is not, however, without critics such as Heather MacDonald. For ideologues, this notion has become what amounts to a doctrine of involuntary hatred. For racial theorists, even the most well-meaning white people must be racist, whether they know they're racist or not, and even whether they want to be racist or not. They are innately, irremediably, and irredeemably racist oppressors. Feminist ideologues apply the same doctrine to men. From their perspective, men must be innately, irremediably, and irredeemably sexist oppressors. As representatives of alleged oppressor classes, they can have no legitimate claim to a single standard of moral or legal justice, and no claim to equality, let alone to forgiveness or compassion. Thus justice amounts to revenge, not reconciliation. Current legal and other systems are remediable, however, so alleged victim classes can, indeed should, interrogate, problematize, subvert, and dismantle them as transformative measures. And if the end justifies the means, which it does from an ideological and thus revolutionary perspective, then the cost to society as a whole makes no moral difference. Never mind that minorities pay a very heavy price for measures such as lowering academic standards for them instead of forcing them to, quote, act white in a meritocracy, for example, or refusing to arrest them for crimes that they commit in their own communities with profoundly destructive results. My point here is that hatred within the worldview that shapes identity politics in our time, morally, legally, psychologically, even spiritually, is highly contagious. It seldom stops at this group or that. Those who hate black people, for instance, usually hate Jews and other outsiders as well. Even Christians aren't exempt. The resistance of Catholics to abortion has left them exposed once again to intimidation. I find it hard to see how any society that relies so heavily on dualistic ideologies, oppressor or oppressed, can avoid the proliferation of hatred. New forms keep appearing, just as the COVID virus keeps mutating or cancer cells keep metastasizing. The names of victim and oppressor classes keeps changing, or multiplying to be sure, but the disease itself remains hatred. You might ask, who could have predicted the rise in transgender ideology? A better question, however, would be, who could have predicted the clash between transgenderism and feminism? The answer is simple. Anyone who understands the power of organized hatred to achieve political goals. Anyway, that's an excerpt from DEI Must Die, Hatred as Contagion by Paul Nathanson from the journal New Male Studies, Volume 13, Number 1, 2024, from the discussion section, pages 15 through 17. As usual, I welcome your thumbs up and accept your thumbs down. I always look forward to your comments, and especially like it if you hit the share button below. Share on your social media so that my efforts can have broader impact. And I am flattered if you choose to subscribe to my channel, and certainly would welcome you taking a look at any of my 34 books. I don't know what's most relevant to this. Probably A Dose of Reality. But all 34 are on Amazon. Just go there, search on my name, Marty Nemko, Nemko, and you will find more than you can stomach. In any event, I do thank you for watching. I am Marty Nemko.